Welcome to the Business of Business Austin, a podcast created to make your business stronger. Each week, we deliver practical advice on a variety of topics featuring industry experts. The Business of Business Austin is brought to you by Texas Mutual Insurance Company, a workers' comp provider committed to helping companies build a stronger, safer Texas. Let's get down to business.
And thanks for being with us on the podcast today. I'm Kenny Romeyer. Before we get started, be sure and check out Texas Mutual Insurance Company's website. It's texasmutual.com. A lot of good information there, a place where employers can find resources and recommendations related to coronavirus. There's a banner on the homepage. It takes you right to the information. It's texasmutual.com. We are pleased to have with us today Ken Givens. He's Director of Sales for U.S. Merchant Payment Solutions. Ken, thanks a lot for being with us on the podcast today.
Oh, Kenny, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Before we get started, give our listeners a quick overview of what U.S. Merchant Payment Solutions is all about.
Well, Kenny, thank you very much. Austin-based U.S. Merchant Payment Solutions has been around for over 12 years, and I have around 26 years experience in the payment processing industry. U.S. Merchant Payment Solutions provides business owners and nonprofits and many government agencies with secure card and check acceptance services from their constituents, their members, or their customers. We focus on providing them low-cost methods to also easy to operate and easy to implement in their businesses and et cetera.
Very good. And we're going to focus this discussion primarily on some ways to help those who are listening today, small and medium-sized business owners, improve e-commerce. Before we get started on that, as you mentioned in the opening there, Ken, it sounds like you work with a wide variety of customers and industries. Give us just maybe a couple of thoughts, some common mistakes, some common pitfalls of areas of opportunity that you typically run into as you're working with your customer base along the lines of e-commerce.
Well, Kenny, in today's world, merchants and business owners of all kinds and administrators are needing new options to accept payments with as little contact with the customer as possible. E-commerce has been traditionally for non-retail businesses or as a secondary sales channel for those retail businesses. In recent years, we've heard of the quote-unquote death of retail. It's been spoken of many times, and online sales were the future. Well, as we are now kind of in the future is here. The COVID issue has forced businesses into what I'll call an emergency e-commerce mode, needing to learn how to sell products and services online through mobile apps, text-based purchases, and contactless payments, such as Apple Pay and Google Wallet. So e-commerce is typically concerned to be an online payment, but the truth is that businesses are needing various types of electronic and technical payment methods that I mentioned.
Yeah, and like you said, I suppose the pandemic days have really, accelerated the adoption curve for a lot of businesses who maybe knew they needed to do this, they really hadn't got to it yet, and now they're knee-deep in it, whether they want to be or not, I suppose, right?
Yes, merchants that are taking orders just from the phone are overwhelmed. Their phones are generally busy. That means customers can't place orders in a timely manner. That forces the customers to oftentimes go elsewhere. And, that's bad for business. When losing a customer once hurts, but you can permanently lose that customer if they don't find that it's easy or they find an easier way to get the product from another source.
Right.
So we see that with Amazon being a big force in the industry. and in many ways taking the business away from the local merchants, local stores. And so that's the thing that we challenge business owners to do, is become like a mini Amazon. And we do our best to direct them and show them different ways that they can keep their wheels of commerce rolling, even when it seems like a difficult situation what we're having right now.
Yeah, and before we get into some specific ideas about how businesses can improve their e-commerce, just from a challenges standpoint, Ken, what's the one or two biggest hurdles in trying to get somebody, a business owner, to readily accept the ideas that you're proposing, and or is it just necessitated because they realize they don't have any choice anymore? Does it come about that way?
Well, this has been a learning curve for us as well. In the months of March and April, nationwide, the credit card processing or the payment processing industry saw as much as a 46% decrease in sales just from businesses being dormant, not canceling, not closing, just being dormant.
Mm-hmm.
And so that facilitated us getting creative and explaining to merchants that, and here's the hump they have to crawl over. They have to take on the technology they're not comfortable with, and a lot of times that's the biggest thing. Business owners, and I'll just honestly be a blanket statement here, but those that are 45 and 50 and above business owners are less likely to adopt the technology that the 30s and the 40s are accepting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's the biggest thing for me, and I'm in that set. I'm not a young chicken, but I've learned that I have to learn a lot of things to help my business owners accept it as, okay, take a deep breath, we'll move forward on this. And then I always say, and find that younger employee, that daughter, that son, that grandchild who's of age, who can come help you get through this learning curve that honestly you may not ever learn completely, but as long as you know how to operate within those guidelines. So it's really the mental and the fear that a business owner has to take a new step that he's never taken before.
Right, and certainly from a timing standpoint, they probably realize they don't have a choice at this stage of the game. So let's talk about maybe a couple of ideas that you could give to our listeners of just some general ideas, some ways to think about how to improve their e-commerce business. Are there one or two things that kind of come to mind?
Sure. Well, it's not only for restaurants. I mean, that was certainly the first target or the first market that we said, oh, restaurants really need this online ordering. But we're finding that retail stores need it. We're helping medical offices, attorneys, CPAs, tradespeople like plumbers and pest control and landscapers. So those tools that we're providing them, and I say we, this is what we do, but they can get these in other places. It's not just our company that provides these, but tools like the ability to send an invoice through a secure payment link so that the customer can make a payment at midnight or at 9 p.m., whenever the business is closed, but they still can make that payment rather than giving the card information over the phone to someone they may not necessarily know. So it's more secure for the customer, and it's easy for the business owner to send that out. Facebook page links. Facebook has its own system, but there's also ways to add a link to order and pay type link for a business. Of course, traditional websites that a business might have with a shopping cart or a list of products and services where they click and check out and pay like we do so much. Text-based payment links through a text-based system where they might send out text messages to their staff, their employees, and also on to their customers to pass them on, that they're able to order through a link. We're seeing a lot of the mobile phone apps and the cards now that have the contactless ability, like the Apple Pay and the Google Wallet, and even have a credit card that has the little, I'll call it the contactless wavelengths, that I can just get my card within about 3 inches of a device without touching it and it makes payments. So those are the most popular. There's others out there that are even, I'll say, less mainstream that are working quite well. But those are the things that we're focusing on that seems to be getting a lot of attention and working for the business owners and easy to implement.
Yeah, and would you say, Ken, is it advantageous for a business owner to provide the choice, to provide a variety of payment methods? For example, I recently ran into a situation where a retail outlet I was in, and they don't take cash anymore like they used to. So I guess we're running into that these days, but does it help for a business owner, for a business to say, hey, you can pay one of several ways. We're going to try to make it easy to make your payment here? Well,
just like the I'll call it the gas station convenience store can have you pay at the pump or pay inside. Sure, that's two ways that they can get paid. But a business owner, in my opinion, in today's climate, should offer as many options as they possibly can. All of them should drive back to a single, what I'll call payment portal or a payment reporting system. I wouldn't want a business to have 7 different services from 7 different companies, but finding those 7 services from one, what I'll call umbrella company that can link those together, it makes it a lot easier for logging in the payments, inventory tracking, customer service. If they need that, they call one number instead of, I don't know who we call now for this device or this product.
Right.
So it's just like anything else. If you want someone to come in your door as a business owner, you better give them more than one reason. In the same way, they need to be able to pay with as many possible options as possible. And I understand cash is no longer considered, in some cases, safe or acceptable because of the ability to transmit the possible COVID. We're seeing businesses that are no longer accepting checks, even in the mail. They're saying, we are taking credit cards only, don't mail us a check. And so there's all these options that are out there that people can use. And like you say, the more options they have, the better chance of them making that sale and getting paid.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to have to leave it there. Some really good thoughts from you, Ken. I appreciate it, talking about helping a retailer just get over the hump, as you said, and begin to get going up that adoption curve is one of the bigger challenges. But you talked about then making sure they understand the variety of ways to help a customer make some payments, whether it's the mobile phone apps, the online ordering, text payments, and so forth. And you mentioned social media, too. So a lot of new technologies, a lot of new changes that the business owners need to be mindful of these days. Ken Givens, Director of Sales for U.S. Merchant Payment Solutions. Thanks a lot for being with us on the podcast today.
All right, Kenny. And my only comment to say is that fear is a liar. Don't be afraid of taking that next step, business owner, because there's people around you that'll help you make that step. Thanks, Kenny.
And just a reminder, be sure and check out Texas Mutual Insurance Company's website. A lot of good information. Employers can find resources and recommendations related to coronavirus. TexasMutual.com. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for joining us this week on The Business of Business Austin. Make sure to visit our show page, located in the podcast section at newsradioklbj.com, where you can download previous episodes and subscribe to make sure you never miss an upcoming episode. We'll be back next week with more practical advice to help make your business stronger. The Business of Business Austin is brought to you by Texas Mutual Insurance Company, a workman's comp provider committed to helping companies build a stronger, safer Texas.